Scott fucking Summers. Select your Wolverine. Yo, show him the knuckles. Show him the knuckles. Ashy elbow.
Go to the gym every day.
Hey. Yo, continue that shit. Continue that shit. Let's go. Yeah!
Is there a way out of there?
Nope. Hold that.
All right, I'm done.
All right, bro. So again, thank you so much for coming on the podcast on such short notice, bro. I appreciate you. The last time I saw you, you provided me the silent buttons that I needed to keep my home life harmonious. I stopped by the store and you hooked me up.
Yes, I remember. I definitely remember.
Yo, dude. Yo, let me tell you, Matt, about the first time I met this guy. I walked into CF, right? And at that point, I had been going to CF for like maybe 3-4 months. And I walk in and I see this dude and he's just by himself, right? He's just by himself pressing buttons. I'm not going to tell you the machine yet. I'm not going to tell you the game yet. But I was like, damn, yo. And it's like the 4th time that I've seen him playing by himself. I'm like, why is this dude playing by himself? So then I put a quarter in the machine because there was nobody there for Third Strike yet. And then he showed me why he's been playing by himself. This motherfucker took my quarter in like 13 seconds with Cyclops. And it might have been Juggernaut. But I wouldn't know because he waxed my ass with Cyclops in X-Men vs. Streetfighter. Bro. Never again would I ever question why the fuck this nigga was fucking playing by himself. It's never going to happen ever again. At that point, I was like, yo, I'm never putting a quarter up without a witness. Because I got to know who I'm playing, bro. This is too much. You remember the play at your own wrist sign on top of the Marvel cap? Well, that was my indoctrination to that. Bro, how'd you even get it? Like, how was the scene back then? Like X-Men versus Street Fighter. What the hell was that about back then?
You know, it's funny because there's always been this weird scenario where a lot of people considered me the mentor for the game. It got a mini revival during CF's like later years, having the game in a big cab, and then they moved it to a small cab because my entire life that's been my favorite fighting game of all time. Like, despite the BS that game has, and the infinite combos that you could do, and like the stylish shit that you can do, the game in general was just really special to me in many ways when I first saw it. As a whole, it was just really weird because when the game did get revived, for some reason people like Eddie Lee showed up. He's a legendary Marvel 2 player. He's like the first ever Strider Doom, I believe that was in Chinatown Fair. Like, he originally played Marvel 1, but he played a lot of Marvel 2. Had people like Justin Wong understand the game a lot more. Most of Empire Arcadia at the time. But you know, people, they see Justin playing, they see just like this guy, what's his name? Matrix was kind of playing a bit. And they were like, oh, you know, this game has infinites, yada, yada, yada. And I even got my ass whooped by Justin, as well as Matrix one time. And I said to myself, I was like, you know, I really like this game enough that I really want to get good. So literally, you know, before any of us, you know, was really doing other things in life, we would all just go to Chinatown Fair and just practice because that was our only real way. Like, you either had that or you had emulators. But with emulators, there's only but so much you could really do before, you know, Calera started popping off, 5K started popping off. You only really had just the arcade, and that's where you had to go and learn. And I would literally, like, after school, after, you know, doing anything that I had to do with life, I would just be like, I need to go to Chinatown Fair and I need to just come up with my own shit. I need to come up with like stylish stuff that I always wanted to do. And more and more people started seeing it. Of course, Frankie explained what I was doing originally. And people started just crowding around, seeing like some of the stuff that I was coming up with. Like, I was coming up with shit that people would only see in combo vids, you know, originally. And I did play like a lot of Cyclops. I played a lot of Ryu. Then a really dear, like good dear friend of mine, Jason Hall, was one of the original like old school Marvel players. Showed up and was like, yo, if you're playing, you know, I gotta get in this too. Sambe Briggs, who goes by Sinister Cyclops on Fightcade, he was like, yo, we gotta get in this. And people just started learning from each other. People just started just coming up with new ways to open you up. You know, and it's a game that's kind of hard to open up. Like, unless you play like air dash characters, you know, unless you're willing to understand like the footsie game, just go nuts with characters who just has easy infinite setups in the corner. It was really kind of hard to just open people up, you know, like push blocking was a big thing, you know, counter setups was a big thing. But I want to say it wasn't just me. It was really just a whole group of people that really just fed off of each other's energy, just learning the game like tenfold. It's like not one man or woman can really just make that game like infamous as what it is. It really takes a community to play that game.
Now, were you guys traveling at all back then? Like, did you get to play, you know, people from the West Coast like Dogface and people like that? Or was it more like just an in-house like CF thing?
In-house. I do know that Jason Hall went to like the very last season's beatings that had Marvel 2. It was a different game that they had, and it was kind of weird how they did it. But one season's beatings had a lot of West Coast people come out. I think that was 2009 or 2010. I can't remember.
Well, was that
but he showed up there.
Was that the last big Marvel 2 tournament too? Was it that one?
I really want to think so. I think that was the one that Yipes won.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was like 2009. Like Yipes won that tournament, but Jason went out there specifically for X-Men versus Street Fighter, and Jason, he was having like not issues with West Coast, but West Coast was kind of like talking mad shit. Like West Coast and Canada was talking a whole lot of shit, specifically Canada. It was like, yo, New York is free, yada yada yada. You know, like we own X-Men, this, that, and the third, and then
the maple syrup as the oh man, y'all better stop.
They were talking so much shit, you know, and like what ended up happening, Jason won the tournament for X-Men, and then top 3 was Jason, second was Justin Wong, and third was J360, and then the rest was just Canada, then West Coast.
Wow.
West Coast didn't really have like a big showing, but Canada was like, we own everybody. That's it. Y'all free, whatever. But they got fucking shown up, and you know, a lot of people contribute that to like, again, like me kind of just helping everyone out how to play certain teams. To this day, I still do that actually. Like I still had matches with a friend of mine, Mad Hatter. He's Magneto, really cool dude. We play on Fightcade 2 a lot, and that was pretty much it. But for me, I never really had those opportunities. I didn't have any opportunities to go out unless I'm, you know, at a local arcade,
right?
Because I had home priorities. I had my grandmother to take care of at the time. I had school. It was a bunch of things, but I'm by myself now. I live by myself, so when I travel, I will be traveling, you know, to go and play X-Men as much as I can.
Yo, how does Fightcade land with you? Like, how has it been to you so far? Like, has it grown X-Men a little bit, or is it still kind of? Well, I just want to know your feelings about Fightcade first.
Personally, the arcade enthusiast in me, since I've been buying arcade cabs now, and I've been trying to help a scene kind of grow with that game and other games as well. I don't like Fightcade 2. I don't like Fightcade 2 because in a lot of ways it kind of differentiates the style of play. Not to say that you couldn't play your own style, but it feels very off. Like seeing some of the stuff that you can do. Like, I know macros has always been a thing, bindings has always been a thing with Fightcade 2, but sometimes when you see like execution be a little too perfect, it just really kind of throws you off, and people kind of do really random shit on Fightcade 2. Like, I've seen people just, play Gambit. I'm not gonna mention any names, but people do stuff like full screen super because it was like, oh, I can react to it because I got keyboard. Fuck it, you can't do anything.
Right.
So, but at the same time, I feel like Fightcade 2 is very necessary in this field now, especially for old games. More and more people are learning old games just to like see like the ins and outs, not so much just to like be competitive. And it's actually an eye-opening experience. Like, I've seen stuff watching so many different games, like going from ST, Third Strike, Vampire Savior, X-Men, even Marvel superheroes. I've seen a lot of stuff that's like really like unheard of sometimes. And it's the scientific part of like fighting games, the psychology of fighting games is so much more bigger. Seeing the way people play fighting games on Fightcade 2, but like personally, my passion has always been just playing offline.
Yeah, it's weird with Fightcade, right? Because it, like, the fact that it's getting so close to feeling like offline makes the fact that people can still do the things that they can do in an online setting, it makes it feel worse a little bit, because while you're playing, you have the standard, you know what I mean, and the system is kind of meeting your standard. It's meeting the standard in terms of execution, in terms of latency, of input delay, but then the opponent fails you, by not honoring the contract that you're playing under, like, hey, this is supposed to be like legit, but then they go ahead and they do some wild shit because they can get away with it. And it's funny because, in particular in X-Men or Street Fighter or Marvel, tri-dashes that are perfect are so suspect. High level play is full of missed tri-dashes, and that's part of the game, like being able to clean up those missed inputs, and that's part of it. So it's strange when you have somebody, right, who's playing at a low level mentally, but then has perfect tri-dashes. It's just like that incongruity drives me insane. It drives me. I'd rather play just Tetris. Just put me on Tetris. I'm not doing this shit. So I understand where you're coming from with that.
It's good that you pointed that out, because getting back to that whole very very high execution caliber that you see in Fightcade. Again, I'm not mentioning any names. This guy's a good player. He's an awesome player, and I've kind of known him since like really old CF, playing Vampire Savior, and he played a QB there. But when I played him in X-Men, I don't care when it comes to online. I don't care about wins or losses. Like, I just want matches. That's all that matters to me. But I'm in an offline setting. It's a whole different issue. Like, we all are that way. Like, we just want to win. So he was playing Charlie, and Charlie's Airblade kick. And sometimes with the way the execution works, it's like Magneto, where when you're trying to do class, it's a very like weird execution thing. Yeah. All of a sudden I spent like perfect execution. I was just like, oh my God, keyboard.
Yeah, dude, like,
I was like, oh God.
Like, yo, you're not going like 8 to 6. You're not doing that perfectly. That's such a weird motion to go to 896. You're not hitting that all the time. So, when I see that shit, bro, because sometimes I pop in Fightcade under an alias. I try to go in a little bit. Bro, when I see, especially because I love watching Expert vs Street Fighter like replays, and I've been doing my homework, but when I see those perfect air blades, bro, that shit drives me insane. You got this fool looking like Magneto. It's crazy. It shouldn't be like that, and it's so close to the ground too. That's just so unnatural.
Yeah, and again, like this, I don't care about losing, like reputation for me online is just it is I keep that separate from what I would see like in a tournament setting. Like tournament offline, it's just all about like who wins, who loses, that's it. Like just get the job done. Online, I'm just like, yeah, I could try a few different things, and and I just fuck around with online. But I even had to ask him. I said my actual question was, man, good games. Like, your execution seems to be really good. Were you playing on keyboard or were you playing stick? He goes and says, well, there's only a few games I play on keyboard and a few games I play on stick. I was like, you couldn't just answer my question? Like, you had to hit me with another question. I'm not going to be mad. It's like 5K people, 5K dudes want to be like, yeah, I don't want people to feel like I'm suspect, but I want my YouTube replay to be out there to show that I am high level. When you're looking at shit like Bohemian King 100 making vids and shit about people top player 5K replays, it's like you couldn't do that in an offline setting.
But he don't talk to ops, bro. Word. Like sometimes, like there's certain games I play on keyboard. Next question.
Fake news.
Oh shit, bro. Are there any? Do you know if there are any like arcade boards for X-Men vs Street Fighter in the city? Like, do you know if anybody has like one for Super Gun or something like that? Because I've never seen anybody like, oh, you got one? Yo, why don't you come to the next level? Why don't you go to the next level?
Well, here's the thing.
Well, not now, but
I don't mind wanting to go to the next level, but I have been having my own training grounds at home. So, and I've also been buying cabs. I mentioned this to a few people now. Like, not everybody knows, but I have my own arcade cabs in my apartment.
Oh shit!
And I have a new Versus City arcade cab coming to the city. Actually, it's supposed to be here next week.
Damn.
Congrats. And, you guys know KO Fiend, right?
Of course. Jonathan Sung.
Mr. Wick.
So shout out to Jonathan Sung, aka KO Fiend. Yang. I hate Yang frame traps sometimes. I hate those frame traps. But I mentioned it to him. I mentioned that, and this is a big thing for me. I've always felt like New York City as a collective FGC group could never really get along with each other in terms of running events. I've always felt that way. And I wanted to be the person to actually kind of change that. So a store in Chinatown called Zero is going to be housing my new Versus City, and I plan on getting a second one.
Shout out to Hyde. Shout out to Hyde.
Shout out to Hyde. And I know like Next Level will always be the mecca for FGC, but I want people to understand that you do have an extra location to just play whatever, just to get some sets in. It doesn't always have to be like, hey, Next Level is doing NLBC on a Wednesday. You can always just be like, yo, I want to go to Zero on a Monday. I want to go to Zero on a Thursday, on a Saturday. Get some games in because it's close.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with Next Level, despite what people think. I've had people literally say to me, "Oh, you're not going to take business away from Next Level." That's not my point.
Right.
The point is just to give FGC, East Coast FGC, more areas to play.
Right.
How many times are you going to go to Next Level and leave at 5 a.m. when you have more opportunities now to leave at any time you want? You could go there. You could go to another area and be like, "Yo, this place is close. I want to get some games in."
Right. I mean, there's like
No, yeah,
go ahead.
It's just, again, it's all about just get everybody as a collective. There's not enough like, support your scene, and more like, hey, just go to the next level, like fuck everybody else.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, because it's weird. It's a weird thing because New York is a bit disjointed that way. I lived in the Bronx for 27 years of my life, and CF was that place, because it was 40 minutes away from the Bronx, right? Next Level is a proposition in and of itself. It's a different proposition, and that's for pretty much everybody in the city and everybody in the Bronx. That's like an hour and a half trip. Coming back at 2 a.m, that shit easily turns into 2 hours. Now, I definitely agree with just this idea that people should just have more options, because the people from the Bronx aren't really traveling to Next Level anyway. And even for me, where I live in Brooklyn now, it would be easier for me to get to Chinatown. It would take 10 minutes to get to Chinatown from where I'm at versus the 35 minutes that it would take to get to Next Level. And, and it's just to say that there is, like, and this happened during the Marvel 3 era, where you had pretty much an entire borough kind of like ostracized a little bit, or not ostracized. That's it makes it sound purposeful, but they were just over there and they didn't travel to Next Level to go to Marvel 3 tournaments, and Bum provided them an option, right? He provided them. I remember that. Right, yeah, and he's like, "Yo, come here to play," and he's doing that now with Dragon Ball Z. Shout outs to Bum. But yeah, I've never understood this this notion, because I understand what you're saying in terms of feeling that way with the New York scene, how it's just always been kind of, there's only one place you can play, and that's how it should be, versus just having a couple more locations pop up where just people have the option to go where it's it's most convenient. So personally, I'm looking forward to having like a place to go to kind of on my way back from work, because I work in the city too. So it'd be dope to kind of have that option, right? To just be like, oh, okay, I'm going to it's in my tongue, bro. I was about to say Next Level, like, bro, just going to play games. It's in my tongue. I'm fucking indoctrinated already. But so what do you plan on doing then, like with the cab, or what's your vision for that spot?
The way I see it is this. I kind of want to bring back the old days where it's just like, you remember the days of like Broadway City, you had Laser Park, Chinatown Fair, you had all those locations, like secret spots as well. It's like sometimes you could have like a hole in the wall, laundromat that would just have like a random cabinet. I don't want to do it. I don't want it to be like that, but I want it to be like very more modernized, where it's just in general, you could tune into Next Level one day, you can watch a Streetfighter 5 tournament, and then all of a sudden, you're searching up, I wonder if someone's playing Third Strike in, or there's a stream in for Third Strike in New York City. And then you hit my stream, being supported by Xeno0, and you have people playing Third Strike, still, at a local spot, a local lounge, just getting games in. I want that exposure that there are still more and more people getting into these old games, everywhere in the East Coast. I want people to just be like, hey, so there's all this comp is being shown, being advertised. I want to head down the Next Level. I want to head down to Xeno0. I want to go to Carlos's house. I want to go to this guy's house, that guy's house. Like just pretty much have more of a network for people to play whatever, and have it streamed. Like I feel like there are certain regions within the United States that have been doing that very well, and of course Japan themselves. If you've seen like certain streams at like 3-4 o'clock in the morning, you see this guy on Twitter, Ryu Gainai, who does a lot of the Marvel stuff for Japan. He's always streaming Children of the Atom. He's always streaming MSH. He's getting more and more people together to play these old games, and also learning and showcasing as much as he can for people to understand the game. I feel like New York City doesn't do that. I feel like not naming names because there's really no names to really put out there, but there's more of an ego trip than there is like, hey, let's just get everyone to really just play.
Because like we've seen. Oh yeah, go ahead, man.
Not to say that there isn't people within the tri-state area that doesn't do it, because I'm pretty sure there are. It's just in general, like if you look at Street Fighter 5 players and you look at everybody else, everything has been more or less like me, and not enough of, hey, let's just build up this community again. You know, let's be a force here.
You were gonna say something, Matt?
Yeah, it's an odd leap to go from you saying I'm setting up another location to hear somebody weirdly come at you and say you're not competition for next level. Like how do you go from you announcing that to that leap? That just totally flabbergasted me when you said that.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's true because you know they're acting as if like there's like a market that's being lost by somebody else popping up and just providing another option, because those people aren't going to next level anyway. You know what I mean? So it's just weird. It's like, wouldn't they view that as, oh, look, another place where people can play fighting games, another stream, another opportunity, for these games to be seen on a, more broadly. But it's strange though, because, we've seen these kinds of business models like in the past, like kind of crop up, but they just don't seem to be successful. And I'm not sure if it's whether the location or the vision, but like what do you think about that? About maybe places like iFix or places like that. And there's been a couple others that their name escapes me right now. But like what do you think about that? And nobody else's business seems to work.
I think a lot of it's like what I mentioned previously, where it's an ego thing for people, not so much the person doing it, but the people that they know is like the face. I've mentioned this to Hyde. My philosophy is, everyone deserves a chance at running something. But there's too many people, in my opinion, that's like, if you're not really known for what you're playing, and there's no reason to go to you, because you're not considered someone to talk about. You know, like I told him, like, how many people really go to the next level because Henry Sen owns next level? Versus how many people go to, let's say, those PAG events where they were running Soul Calibur and Tekken. At the end of the day, if you're running an event, if you're running a tournament, your whole point is, I want to enter this tournament, I want to get good, I want to win money. That's like the three basic tier system. Does that? They would rather say, no, I want to go to, even though I may go 0-2, I may be on Team Spooky stream, I may be on Article stream, I'm going to the next level. Why strive? Don't get me wrong, like everybody should strive to get to the top, but why are you focused on one particular opportunity when there are many opportunities to be had? And it's not just for that one person; it's for everyone.
No, it's true. It's like it's this weird thing. It's kind of like a broke man's mentality. You know what I mean? Like they'll give up the opportunity to have an entirely different place where other people can play, or maybe another local, another weekly that they could attend, for the crumbs that is playing on stream at next level. You know what I mean? It's just this weird thing where like you're willing to give up that, a good opportunity, right? But just for the sake of kind of being where the Hidespot is at. And it's strange because it's only, it's one day a week. You know what I mean? Like there's 6 other days. Why wouldn't you want maybe another opportunity to, compete, at a high level? And I don't know what that's about, but it seems to be like a larger symptom of, the fighting game community as a whole, where there's just constantly this bickering over crumbs. Like people just don't have their own, and I don't know if it's their own mind, like you were saying, how it's like ego driven, but just people don't have, I don't think, the will to, maybe they're not enjoying the games enough. You know what I mean? And maybe the games that they're playing, they don't like enough to play more than once a week. Because I know when I was learning Third Strike, like, I was playing that shit every single day.
But you were having fun.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. And so, like, maybe it's that. Maybe it's just the quality of the games that are out now that people go to next level for is just isn't enough. You know, like, and they're fooling themselves. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, I don't know. That's the only thing I can honestly come up with. That they just don't like their games enough to play them more than once a week.
I feel like also it's probably because of the era that we kind of grew up in. Where it's like we had access to so many arcades and we had access to so many different games. And it's like if you're not part of the general populace of playing one particular game, you're kind of forgotten. Like, I feel like people still need just that big push.
Yeah.
You see it happen in Japan all the time. Like you can see someone just fucking playing Fighter History Dynamite at a high level, and people will be like, "Yo, what the fuck?" Like,
right.
He's like, "Yo, this man is so good. I want to keep watching him." You know,
right.
and that's a constant thing in Japan, but that's not a constant thing here unless you're playing Fight King.
Right.
I'm trying to get away from that norm. I want people to just come out again and be like, "Yo, I can't believe my favorite game is on arcade now. Let me play this." V-Spot over in St. Mark's does that. They do
what's V-Spot? Oh, they play Super Turbo over there?
Yeah, V-Spot over in St. Mark's. It's like a few buildings down from Barcade. They play ST. They have a head-to-head new Astro City setups, and they play nothing but ST.
What? I didn't know that. That's sick.
Yeah,
That's dope.
yeah, they definitely do that. You know,
do they stream or not?
I tell them all the time, just stream, like put people on mics, get people to talk, you know, just like give an audience. You're always gonna have an audience that knows what you're talking about and what you're doing, and then you're gonna have that percentage of audience that just tune into whatever. You know,
yeah.
There's always room to improve. For not only people viewing the game, but also people playing the game. And I feel like they should constantly just push that while playing, but I don't know what else to tell you.
But why am I learning from the X-Men guy that there's a spot to play Super Turbo at, like, that's 20 minutes away from me? You know, it's just, yep. I know. He's a vagabond. He's just going from spot to spot like Blade. Like I heard the arcades here.
Like, what?
So that's what I do.
I needs that.
That's what I do. I literally just look around and I've observed. You know, people have said that back in the days of Chinatown Fair, where I would watch people play CVS2. I would watch you guys play Third Strike. I would observe.
Dude, it's just fun. Dude, it's just so much fun to watch high level play. I think that gets so underrated. You know, I think there's too much of an emphasis, and maybe that's just the nature of the game. You know, because it's video games at the end of the day. So there's a lot of emphasis on pushing units. You know, like selling units. But at the end of the day, really, you know, high level play is what flavors the community. And there's only but so many people that can achieve that high level of play. You know what I mean? So, like, instead of trying to, like, and I don't mean this, you know, I don't mean to say this in a way that neglects people that are just starting out. But instead of trying to manufacture this, like, artificial, you know, system where people can kind of come up regardless of their skill level, why don't you just showcase the people that are actually, like, striving to achieve, like, mastery in these games? You know, I don't know why they designed them in that particular way, but that just goes to show you. You're talking about these streams in Japan, right? Where they'll fucking play, like, there's some stream going on right now from some dude in Osaka who's nice at Dig Dug. They're streaming that shit, and motherfuckers are sending them bits, bro. You know, you know what I mean? Like, there's a market for that from an entertainment standpoint. So it's just, why the hell would you have a ST cab in a place that presumably sells drinks, it sounds like, and not stream it? That sounds like a recipe for just viewership. Like, I don't know. It just seems pretty obvious.
Awesome.
I've been telling those guys to really do that. Like I actually had a conversation with one of them because I would frequent that spot a lot. Sorry,
it's all good.
No, you did both.
I would constantly tell them like
freaking. Hey. I used to freaking that spot.
Not in that way. Not yet.
Yo, you stupid, bro. Oh, that's funny. My fault.
I would tell these guys, I was like, you could do so much in terms of just having quality entertainment for these games, and they play at very, very, I don't want to say like the greatest high level, but it's enough that people would just sit around and just watch. Like literally every Friday night, you'll have people come in there and just wanting to watch. I tell them like, you need to stream and you need to have people on mics, to entertain the audience.
Yo, for real.
No matter if you get 1 view or you get 100 views, you need to have people advertise your stuff so they can like literally be like, hey, I was watching Streetfighter for like the first time in like 20 years and people still play this game. You should watch it, Yo, dude. It's just a battle of just getting anyone together,
right,
to just entertainment.
Dude, like what's so much like what's on the same level as 2 grandmaster, fighting game players playing? Is like 30 drunk, like brand new scrubs like entering a $1 tournament and playing that game. That shit is hype. What I mean? Like, dude, that's it. Like, it kind of sells itself, right? It's like, dude, like if you enter like $1, right, to play Street Fighter and nobody knows how to play, right? You're in a bar, and like the winner gets a fucking, an Irish car bomb or some shit. I don't know, but the winner gets something. Like that's so hype. Like that's like just that and the drunk comments. It just sounds like so easy to me. Like I don't know why that spot hasn't kind of heeded your advice. Maybe they just don't see it, That's another part of it too. It's like we're coming from this weird vantage point, like in fighting games.
That's true. Like to me, it's like they kind of have to not really have to be careful, but people will be people,
right?
At the end of the day, especially in New York. So it's I definitely understand where they're coming from, but that shouldn't stop. That shouldn't really stop anyone from just taking a chance at it.
Yeah, but do they? So what are the worries that they have then? Because you sound like you've spoken about it and they have like trepidations about it. So like, what are they worried about?
It's really more or less kind of with almost any like really weird spot that's like, I guess, paying rent, where unless your demographic is primarily for video games, people would go there for the entertainment, but not really buy the food and drinks. But if they sit down and chill, they'll just sit and chill. They won't put in any money for the store to stay open, to be able to give us this type of entertainment.
Right.
And I would go there, Friday night after work, since it's like real close to my job, and I would always like not only give what was I gonna say?
It's all right. We got an edit button. You can take your time.
Not only buy stuff there, but I would donate. I would pretty much donate. Because I want the spot to stay alive. Like what restaurant / lounge is gonna have 2 Astro Cities just playing ST in New York? So it's like I do what I can, but they told me like, hey, we gotta figure out like how we're going to, make money off of this. And I was like, stream, stream, guys, stream. It's not that hard. I'll even help you guys with streaming. But yeah, they want to stay kind of private, kind of not private. First and foremost, it's still a restaurant, and I've even told people if at the end of the day, if you are going to stream, you still have to advertise. Video games don't doesn't pay bills, but it can sure put some type of money in. It doesn't have to necessarily be the main income. It could just be something that's just people just appreciate what you guys do, and that's all it comes down to it.
Yeah, man, it's something so many people have been trying to make money off of fighting games for such a long time, and I don't know, like the clientele just doesn't, the potential market just doesn't pay. I don't know what it is about it.
He has champagne taste with air pockets.
It's just the culture, man. I don't know. It's something in the culture about us that things like that are even possible. That people can go to a spot and not eat a damn thing for 12 hours. Like that's like some weirdo shit. Like that's only something that we fucking do, bro.
Yeah.
So how do you make them pay?
It reminds me of the old days of Chinatown Fair, where it's like you had so many people just sit outside and just chill and
right.
Play in the game.
That's true.
It's the fear of either getting your ass whooped or just like I don't want to lose my Metro card.
Right. Exactly. It's about having the money to get home, bro. That's what they worried about.
Shout outs to 2004 Chinatown Fair.
Oh my god.
Bro, like being sound though.
Say it again.
I think people like just being around the sound of the video game. Just hear all the clicks, the stuff. I don't know. Oh, shout out to my man who passed away, Cyclops voice actor. That one.
Oh yeah, man. That shit hurt.
No.
That shit's crazy. You know how old he was?
No, I'm not sure.
Shit.
But that's like the first. That's like one of the guys that, like, if you didn't know what Cyclops sounded like, when you heard his voice, he was like, "They got it." He was born to voice Cyclops. Like, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, like Norman Spencer. Norman Spencer. I think he was around 60. He passed. I think he was 60.
Damn.
Yeah, his voice was that's Cyclops. That's Cyclops for all eternity. I really like I can actually say honestly that his voice in general kind of is like one of the reasons why I played that character. One of the reasons because it's so like
hold this shit.
It's so it's so obnoxious. Like who like, you do medium punch and you hear her.
He's like
there's a lot of that with
yeah, he's like a heroic Boy Scout, but he's still a dick at the same time. Like he really, like, that really brings out like the cockiness of the character. That's kind of, it's not really cockiness with Cyclops. It's like condescension. And that voice, like, you're right, her, like, it's something about it. Like, I knew this was gonna hit. Like he knew it was gonna land. Like, behold, you're broke.
Behold.
I took your quarter. Back of the line.
Yes. Yes. That's all you hear. That's all it is.
I did it.
Yo, so when it comes, so we, we're talking about all this shit, like with that spot that, wants to stay private but make money at the same time. So what's the plan with Hidespot then? Because I know he's kind of set in terms of having, like the card game business there, because that's kind of what that seems like that's what that spot is like known for. You know what I mean? Like he sponsors, those Yu-Gi-Oh players and shit. And so, and where do you fit in that? Do you see yourself more as kind of a constant like entity there? Like the cab's always running, the stream's always running type of thing? Or is it more you see yourself kind of organizing like play sessions and, people are like welcome to come? Like what do you think is the better approach?
I think the better approach realistically is kind of just having sessions where people just, get together collectively, just come out, and get some games in. Originally, I never really had a real reason wanting to put cabs shop because again, I do stuff at home. Like
Right.
when I actually have days off from work because I'm at work. Like I feel like I'm at work 24/7, and I'm not, but that's how like my life turned into. When I'm home, and people want to come through and get some games in, I'm just like, yeah, I'm down, and we'll just play whatever until they leave practically, because I want people to just stay on that grind. With Hyde, just always mention that what we just discussed, where there's so many people that want to go to tournaments and want to go to events, but they don't want to go out. They don't want to go to these venues, these events, unless it's really a place that is well known. And he's been, for a better term, frustrated. So I told him, are you planning on doing retro stuff? He's like, he wants to have cabs. He doesn't really have the know-how on how to really get cabs at the time. And there's been people that has been kind of just giving him info or been telling him like, oh, I could get you this, I can get you that. But I personally don't deem those people as being very trustworthy. It's nothing against them. It's really more or less, I know they're more in it for themselves than they are for the community. So I told him, at one point when iFix Machine was closing, I was planning on, getting cabs myself, which that ended up being a bust. But I had other means of getting cabs, and I told him, I'll be willing to help because I know where I can actually get cabs from. And it just kind of blew up from there. Like he's been like, he doesn't mind me wanting to do retro stuff. He doesn't mind wanting to have cabs. Just if I can do it, I can do it. But for myself, with Xeno I really want to make it more or less like if people just want to come to play, just because, like, that's on them. They can just come to Xeno anytime and play on the cabs. If we are organizing play sessions, just getting like those practice sessions in like from years past, then he knows that that's going to be like the opportunity that I'm looking for. Having a stream set up ready, having people just viewing the tapes, getting understanding of like what they did right, what they did wrong. It's just kind of like the good old days, except you have an archive now. It's not just like IRC. It's not just like sure you can forums. This is more like like this is just what it's gonna be.
Yeah, it's like a breathing version of that, right? It's like a living, breathing version of SRK forum.
Exactly.
Yeah, I really do think it boils down to the passion. There's just a lack of passion in the games now. They just like the community, like the community's passion for games is just not there anymore. Like I just like that's what I see from it. Like there's no way, dude. Like I would go from the Bronx to Brighton Beach, bro, to play Third Strike. Like I would make that trip, and it wasn't like it wasn't exclusive to me. Like people would go wherever the fuck they needed to go to crack out a game. And I just don't feel that now. And I don't know if it's because, we have online play now too. Maybe that has something to do with it. I mean, it definitely has something to do with it, but it's with Hyde, and his frustrations, I really do think that there is a capturable market there for the retro gamers, because especially for the ones that have been playing for a long time, because no amount of run ahead is going to replace, an offline experience.
Ooh, you said the R word. Ooh.
Yeah, right? The R word. The new R word.
I know all about that run ahead. Oh my God.
And so I really do think it boils down to just like the passion that people have. And I don't think, you know what it is too? I don't think newer players really understand the community aspect of playing in an offline setting and how much more enjoyment that brings to the experience. Like playing fighting games isn't about being in front of your monitor and throwing your remote at the monitor. You know what I mean? That's not it. Like, that's not the core of what fighting games about. Like, fighting games is about proving yourself to your community, you know, and playing the game obviously to learn, seeing what you can get from the community, evolving it yourself, and putting it back out there for the community to then take it and then run with it. And then it's like cyclical. Like, that's what it's really about. And I really feel like you only get that when you play in an offline setting. I haven't touched Third Strike because I haven't been able to play at next level. I touch it occasionally, you know, when people ask me to go on and play. But that's not the experience that I want to have with Third Strike. That's not the relationship I want to have with her right now. You know, I don't want it to be that Fight K becomes a new norm for me, because I know that that's not the way that I enjoy the game. You know, and I've said this before, but, you know, it does come down to that when it comes to these new games and the newer players. They just don't have a passion for, or maybe they just don't see the community value of it to where they can say, you know what, oh, this new spot, you know, down at on Grand Street is giving us another opportunity for another weekly. You know, maybe they think one weekly is enough. I'm here to say it's not enough. You know what I mean? Like, the more offline weeklies, the better.
It's Capcom's fault.
Word? It's like that?
Like, yeah, it started with Street Fighter 4. Like, if you look at Alpha 2, Third Strike, and even like X-Men versus Street Fighter, you know that pre-fight screen where you see the characters?
Yeah.
Yo, you would get hype right there. Street Fighter 5, they flashed the fucking date. Like, what is that? Like, why are you telling me the date before the fight? Like, it's like, oh, guess what? It's the date. Like, you can't get excited.
It's funny. I agree with Hold that there, actually. I feel like because of the nature that Capcom has kind of pushed an esports agenda without really trying to call it esports, like, Capcom Cup, that's everybody's dream right now, right? It's just like, yo, I gotta get to Capcom Cup. That's just what it is, you know? That's everybody's dream. It stopped being more about grassroots for the majority of people and more about, like, why can I make this the easiest job in my life to make money? Until obviously the game, quote unquote, dies.
Right.
You know? But it's kind of degrading, honestly. Like, just like he said, Alpha 2, Third Strike especially. Like, Operation Cup, you know, like, all these tournaments, the Jazzy Circuit, all of these tournaments that goes on, all the play sessions that I see, even Denzel, you know, always doing his next level dungeons. You know, it's like you can tell people doing these things obviously do it for the love of the game,
right?
You know, and for the love of the, they just want to play. It's like, fuck it, I just want to fucking play. You know, like Salt, even the Salt is real. You know, everything is so fabricated with new games nowadays.
Yeah,
because everybody is trying to emulate what old games did for everyone. You know, like real fucking fights happen in old games, bro. Like, you know, real fucking fights happen. Like, you don't get that in Street Fighter 5. You get, oh, I got punched in the face. Time to log on to Twitter. I gotta talk about it. Gotta make a Reddit post. you get that. You know?
Yeah. You know what that?
Marvel 2 hype.
Now go ahead.
Marvel 2 hype. Who's with the niggas' faces? Like, it were in faces, spitting at each other. You know?
Big shout out to Smooth Viper. You're ready.
Yeah, shout out
Arroyo.
Cable guy, that infamous video with Mike Ross with a fucking mohawk back in the day.
How Mike Ross then looked like Gutex now is crazy. It's just crazy. Shit is crazy.
No, you had real fucking beef back then, you know? Like, you can't get that with 5. So all you get is just the date stamp and, you know, CFN points. That's what you get.
Right. Yeah, and it's, you know what, like, it's not even to say that the fights were good, but it's like the genesis of it is the passion. You know, the fact that you care enough to punch somebody in the face over or we're getting throw looped, you know, like there is something bad in that, but at least you can recognize the passion, you know, from which it came, right? Like it reminds me of this event that you remember TFC, Matt? Did you go to TFC?
Just the one where.
All right,
where
so
the Japanese played.
So the TFC before that, it was during, I forgot which hurricane it was, but there was a hurricane running through North Carolina at that time. And we knew it was going to hit. We didn't know it was going to take the power out. And that entire day, we were all playing casuals, and there was mad tension in the room. Like, people were talking shit online, basically all the way leading up to that tournament. And the one thing that sticks out in my head is that the passion that turned us against each other in that moment, you know, like leading up to the tournament and us not talking and it being really tense in that room, that passion that turned us against each other, when the lights went out, none of us moved. We stayed around the one cab that was there. And we broke bread. Like, that's how passionate we are about the game, that the game stopped playing, we let our guards down, and we just started talking about the game. And we was there for like 3 hours, bro. All of us, just like huddled around the cabs. We had little pockets of players. We started talking again. And it's just, I don't envision that if we were in the main ballroom and we were playing Street Fighter 5 and the lights went out, that we would stay around the monitor and talk about Street Fighter 5. Like, I just don't see it. Like, I don't see that passion in the games, in the community now. And maybe that's what Hyde needs to, you know, touch on. You know what I mean? Like, that's what he needs to embrace. You know, because I see that passion in Yu-Gi-Oh players. Like, when I go to Xeno, it's always somebody talking shit. Like, I love that shit.
Yeah.
Always somebody talking shit about a card game. Matt, imagine that. Imagine that. You got two grown-ass men talking shit about a children's card game. Shit is fire. Like, I will not trade that for anything in the world. Like, that shit is fire. I love that shit. I love it. But yeah, so it's just like that. Like, that's what it brings. Like, that's what that passion looks like, I think. You know, when the game isn't there to be played, you know, when God shuts the lights off, it, like, we're still not denied. Like, we'll fucking stay there in the pocket and fucking and break bread with niggas we was just avoiding. and that's how deep it runs, man.
It's such a wonderful feeling. You know, it's I feel like that can be revived again. You know, it's just it takes old games. It takes offline setups. It takes games that it's not about like having an agenda where it's about money for you. You know, it's just all about just the love of the game. You know, I had a little not an argument, but I think a disagreement with Automatic years ago about kind of like the same topic, where he mentioned something about he'll see Street Fighter 5 players kind of like touching third strike, and he'll just be like lurking. Like when he goes up and wants to play them, oh yeah, he'll beat them or whatever, but then they'll just leave. And I mentioned, like, honestly, it's really because they don't feel first strike is valuable to them enough, whether instead of it being the other way around, where you value third strike. You know, it's for them, it's kind of like, well, you know, I'm just playing this because I'm not currently playing 5 right now. I'm waiting for my next pool in 5. You know, it's all about money at that point. You know, you're not even trying to get yourself in a position where you just want to learn matchups. It was just like you saw it there and then you wanted to try it out.
That's interesting. Like, that sounds really reasonable to me. So what was it that he was disagreeing about then? Like, what do you think his argument was?
His argument was basically like he just wants people to just really play third strike.
Okay.
And I feel that, you know, I understand how he feels in terms of like people wanting to play your game. But I feel like when you look at a big generation gap, you know, third strike is a 20-year-old game. You know, Street Fighter 5 at the time was like, you know, 2-3 years in. you're gonna have people that's gonna feel like in the mindset, in the mentality, this man knows so much about third strike. How would I compete with that in such a short time?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, they're gonna want to walk away from it because they're gonna feel alienated.
Right.
Because someone came there with, as a very high level player, and just they washed them.
That's interesting.
And at that point, I personally still feel like, at the end of the day, if you're going to learn the game, there are many ways to learn the game now, compared to like back then. But he was just more like, oh, but Street Fighter 5 is also a hard game. And I'm like, I'm not denying that. I'm not going to confirm or deny that. My entire point is, you're not,
bro. Now you're not talking to the feds.
You're not understanding their point of view in terms of like how they envision trying to touch third strike.
Yeah.
There's a difference between touching a game and then just overly mastering the game.
Yeah.
I don't go around wanting to fucking, if I see you just touching X versus Street Fighter, this is your first time, I'm just gonna fucking destroy you because I want to play the game.
Oh, I see.
Watch.
Okay, I see. So that's so that's where the disconnect is with you two. Like, you're saying that there's more value in like watching them play the game for them as opposed to getting on the sticks and destroying them and then they leave. Right? Because they're not looking at it from that point of view. Like, to them it's like it's just a novelty. It's like, oh, look at this oldest dirt ass game. Let me play it a little bit.
Right. How many Marvel 3 players you really see go back to Marvel 2?
Right, yeah, none.
Like MBCI players will, they'll say all the time, like, hey, MBCI plays like, Marvel superheroes or like X versus Street Fighter, and that's so far from the truth, it's not even funny. MBCI is a whole different beast.
Takes his glove off and smack him with it.
I would love for someone to come up to me and be like, yo, I can play this because I play MBCI. I'm like, okay. No, I'd like to see.
I really like to see. Something, and that reminds me of something that Mutant did at one of the NECs that he was running. He did something mad fucking brilliant, bro. He came up with a team tournament where it was basically he had assigned top players as generals, and we would take in 2 novices, and that'll be the team tournament like structure. So basically everybody had a chance to rock, right? Because the novices would like fight each other, they would take each other out, and then it would always come up to anchor versus anchor, and that's always hype, right? But that was his way of trying to ingratiate like newer players into playing the game. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you have a mountain in front of you in this top player, but I'm gonna give you a mountain too. I'm going to give you a bazooka to, blow up the mountain. You know what I mean? And so it kind of gives everybody that sense of, oh, you know what? Like, I can do this. Let me try to learn while I'm here, like while I'm in this tournament. You make it double a limb, and, you assign people value, right? Like, the top players feel good about being that veteran. And then, you have them as a resource for those people trying to play the game. And you know what? Most people aren't going to come back. But if you could get one person to be interested in the game, it's a comeback, then that's a W.
Yeah, you can't hard recruit. I think that's like people try to hard recruit. Like he's like, oh, you play 5, you'll like 3. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
It does not.
You gotta hit him with the.
Yeah.
You gotta let him ride the wave.
You can't. And it's funny, in New York, all those new players we have, they saw the game and just was like, all right, this is me.
Yeah.
I don't know. You just can't. With 5 though, they don't need to recruit.
Yeah,
anybody can just play 5.
Yeah, I know.
And that's kind of like. Go ahead, Frankie.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, you can't like walk around with a clipboard and be army strong and shit, like just trying to recruit all these young kids to fucking play this like this geriatric ass game. Like it's not gonna work.
You like Ken? Check.
Right. You like getting
yeah. Check.
You like getting smoked for 9 months? Check. All right, yeah, come on, I got the perfect game for you. Like, what the fuck? Who's gonna go for that?
Word. No one's gonna go for that. I've even done some like lessons on Fightcade with new people that would watch versus Street Fighter. Like when I would stream, I would do some run-throughs of arcade mode until someone, challenges me or I find challenges. But I would also put things in a perspective where if they see me do like a particular combo that's like fascinating to them, they'll start asking me like, hey, I want to learn this game. Game. My initial thought is, well, let me teach you the basics instead of giving you a match. Let me teach you how Magic Series works. Let me teach you about OTGs. Let me teach you about wall hits, stuff to like building blocks in terms of the game itself.
Right.
I'm not just gonna say, because everybody's mindset, every newcomer's mindset when they watch the game is, I want to learn that combo.
Of course,
100%. I want to learn that.
100%.
And you can't learn the combo without having the building blocks to understand it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bulletin. It's a bulletin board style experience for any fighting game, not just X-Men.
Yeah.
And I feel like if more people have actually done that, instead of just being like, all right, let me just bust your ass real quick and then ask you questions. So what did you think about this? What did you think about that? They're gonna feel discouraged. They're gonna be like, yo, what just happened?
This fucking homework.
I know I'm playing the game for free, but what the fuck just happened? Like, it's.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. Like I've shot down so many people who hit me up trying to play, and but I'm like, look, you're not gonna get anything out of it if I play you. Like seriously, you're not. And so it's what you're saying. It's like let's establish building blocks so that you can actually improve on the game at a fundamental level, and then eventually we'll play and you'll get something out of it. But there's nothing worse than like 50 owing somebody. It's not a good feeling for you. You know what I mean? Like for me anyway, I don't know. And for you too, I'm sure, like for all three of us, because we know what competition is. We know what tournaments are. That's where we get the validation. It's not, beating some guy who's, just starting to play the game and doesn't know, his elbow from anything else. You know what I mean? Like that's not what fulfills any of us. It's actually, and so it's an interesting point that you made about shooting them down, teaching them the building blocks instead of playing them. What happened, Matt? You were gonna say something.
All what Carlos said is very coherent and smart, but it's his fault.
It's true.
Have you seen his content? Yo,
of course.
I watched it like 50 times. He had Sabretooth going ham on a dead body Juggernaut.
Oh, I seen that. Yo, listen, man.
It's his fault.
There's something about that game particularly where when you're watching it, that's the only game I can watch somebody run the arcade on, really, and just sit there I could sit there for an hour watching you run the arcade with the same fucking two characters because there's something different coming out. Dude, that game, especially when players of Carlos's caliber are playing that game, when you watch them do a combo, it feels to me, I get the same feeling like I'm watching some dude on a grand piano. Like that's the feeling that I get. That's the precision that I get from it. It's so sexy. Like I don't
appreciate it.
Yo, do you remember?
Thank you.
Dude, like the one time that he took my quarter like a dick. That shit was so beautiful.
It was beautiful. Yes.
It was beautiful. I didn't say. I told myself, yo, I want to play this game, just not right now. I'm gonna go to Initial D, sit my ass down, and rethink a couple things. But when he's gone, when he goes on his dumpling run, I'm gonna stop by. I'm gonna see what's up. And that that game particularly, but I think older games in general kind of have that quality to them, where like you want to emulate the shit that you see the top players do, and it's like it just feels good, like when you can finally do it. Dude, there's nothing that IDOM's Laura can do that some Silver Laura can't do. And just in terms of the execution, just that aspect of it just makes the game dry, like at a high level, bro. And I'm not.
I understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, And I'm not saying this from a vantage point as somebody who doesn't know how to play the game, bro. Like, I played the game. I got good at the game. I was competing, you know, at majors. I was pretty good. You know, I could get good. Just give me a few months and, you know, a bottle of tequila. I think I could get pretty good again. You know, but so it's not coming from this ignorant place. I just think that at a certain level, in terms of viewership too, man, there's barely anything that you won't see in a high level match that you haven't seen before. It's just, is he gonna block it this time or not? Like, you know, like, will the coin flip and he'll call it right in the air? You know, and it's just something boring in that. You know, I can imagine somebody who doesn't know anything about fighting games watching this shit. It's just nothing. It doesn't catch the eye. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I'm just fucking old and decrepit and salty, but I just don't see it.
I'm definitely 100% with you there for one particular reason. And it's really because I feel like the way the system mechanics of 5 was made, it was made with the mindset where they can just, in another term, shuffle the cards. Whereas old games, like, you can literally see the game like 5-10 years from now. It's the same fucking shit for, like, you know, and X-Men versus Street Fighter, but you can still find something new. You can find ways to just do what you think would work. Whereas in 5, it's just, you don't have that opportunity. Capcom is literally telling you this is how you gotta play the game.
Oh, I see.
You know, and that's kind of, it brings that whole carbon copy aspect where, you know, anybody can pick up and play. Like, Capcom made it obvious back in 2015, early 2016, when Daigo and Lupe Fiasco had that match.
Yeah.
And, you know, Lupe beat him. We all know that was bullshit, obviously. But yeah, I'm calling it like I say it. It's bullshit. Lupe, the fact that the inspiration of Lupe actually beating Daigo, you know, when we all are probably sure Daigo had more than enough time with the game. You know, Lupe is just starting out and giving that sense of security that anybody can really pick up and play 5 is what got the whole drive of, you can pretty much do anything. You know, I still personally feel like Street Fighter Cross Tekken was kind of like the prototype of, you know, understanding how Capcom wanted to make future fighting games.
In what way? Yeah, that is interesting.
It's in a way where it gives you access to feel like you're doing something. You know, I could even go further than that. Back when, you know, in 1997, Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter came out. Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter had something called Easy Mode. Their button scheme was, if you pick Easy Mode, you have access to pressing, if you press just a jab button, you could do a whole combo, a whole 3-hit combo, and you felt like you did something. But that wasn't never the intended purpose, to feel like that was going to be the main way to play fighting games going forward. It was more just a handicap option for a lot of people. But then when Street Fighter Cross Tekken came out, you literally had more defensive measures when you press an attack button and the attack hit. You press light punch literally 3 times, or actually 4 times. Let's say that character, you worried about blocking and getting hit by so much stuff in the match. Pressing that one button not only gave you access to fight back, but it gave you access to switch to your other character who had more health. So you put things in a perspective. It was like, now I have a fighting chance, and everything has always been like that. You look at Street Fighter 4, you had an Ultra. Every time you got hit, the Ultra gauge just filled up until you got that lucky hit, because it's technically more of a defensive mechanism than it is an offensive mechanism. You took those hits, you was able to do DP into FADC into Ultra, and now you're on an even playing field, because you're now you have the advantage of going in on your opponent rather than them going in on you. 5 is the same way with V-Trigger. You know, it's more, people look at it as like it's an advancement to stop your opponent from beating you. It's really more just a defensive mechanism It's like stopping a virus, for instance. Like a virus can keep on attacking you, and your immune system it gets triggered, and now it has to fight back against the virus. That's how I've always felt.
It's interesting. Oh no, go Matt. Go ahead.
No, I wasn't saying nothing. My man just blew my mind. They've been telling.
No, yeah. Yo, it makes me wonder. Like maybe they should bring back easy mode. You know, instead of trying to make the metagame easy mode, like why don't you just bring back a easy mode that people can just pop on and play, and then you kind of get that same effect. Because the way that Dragon Ball FighterZ did it, I think is a smart way, where you like give a person the option, hey, you can do a full combo by just pressing one button, but you won't ever get the best combo by pressing just one button. You know, so it'll like hold your hand up to a point, and then when you feel comfortable, you're like, all right, I think I can go into these loops now. You know what I mean?
It's funny you say that too, because I agree with that. Except the biggest thing I never liked about Dragon Ball FighterZ was the disrespect of frame data when you actually press a button on width. You actually press jab. If you press light attack, you press it 3 times.
Oh yeah.
There's literally no such thing as like frame data at that point. It's just like it goes right into a fucking heavy attack.
Yeah,
I'm just like, I dropped that game so fast after 5 minutes. I was just like, I'm not.
Yo, everybody's auto combo could be nasty. Like it could do some nasty shit sometimes. But it's funny because even at a high level, like that can separate people from, like it can separate like good players from great players. Like just recognizing, oh, he's mashing on light right now, so let me like hold back, right? Another person will get hit by it. You know what I'm saying? So in a way, like it is like a scrubby system, but it does differentiate people at a high level, like from, you know, people who are not going to get hit as often, right? So even in that way, like it's still covert, you know, it's not like baked into the game. That's like the way it is with 5, that it's baked into it. Like, I don't know, it's baked into it like the coin flips, and it's baked into it this idea that you always got V trigger and you always have a chance to make your opponent guess. Like, why is button into V trigger like plus anything? Like that shit should not be plus anything. Like, dude, like they're already turning into they're already turning into Bruce Willis from Unbreakable, bro. Like once they go V trigger, they're already turning into that. And then you plus on block too. Now I gotta flip coins, and now there's input delay like that you manufactured, so I can't even play good defense. I really gotta be out here guessing. That shit's crazy to me.
And it's funny because the last iteration of Street Fighter 4, DPs, right? If you did a DP,
yeah,
like FADC,
you got minus
5.
Yeah, they finally changed that shit.
But yeah, it's almost the same scenario with V trigger, except you plus.
Yo, it's crazy. Yo, it's like, yo,
what do you do?
You know what I think? I think Capcom was like, all right, we know we're gonna get Ultra out of here in a year, so let's make this a little less scrub friendly, and let's make this aspect of it, which has been saving skins for 6 years already. This dumbass mechanic, they finally made it minus. And they was like, nah, yo, these results are too consistent, yo. All the good players are still winning. Like, it's too easy for them now. And then they went right back into it with 5. Like, they reverted. They was like, yo, the greater public isn't ready for, they're not ready for it yet. Like, they thought that they can train people to, like, level up to that point where they can take away those measures, and it just never got there. I think they tried it for 1 season. Elena bodied everybody, and they was like, nah, chill, we gotta go back.
But yeah, Elena, God, the nightmares I had fighting her. The nightmares. I can't stand Ultra Street Fighter 4 Elena. And this is coming from someone that plays Ibuki in Street Fighter 4, you know?
Right.
Like, everybody gets upset at seeing a Vortex. I had a short story. I was streaming Ultra recently, and I had a guy come into my stream. He's like, "Oh, I love fighting high-level Ibukis. You know, can I get a match with you?" I said, "Sure, why not?" He picks El Fuerte, and I already in my head, I already was like, I already lost the match. because it's El Fuerte, right? It's El Fuerte. You know, and I was going back and forth with him, but majority of the matches I lost. But I didn't really care. I was just streaming. You know, I was just trying to provide entertainment. What triggered me was he said, "Oh, El Fuerte is the same as Ibuki." I had to say, wait. I said, what? What? Excuse what? Excuse me? What?
Please don't go.